for connections. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today I'm doing a join live with Simone. Hello, Zore. Hello. Hi, Mahan. Welcome. Hi, Marl John. Welcome. I'm doing a join live with Simone. It's going to be all about guts. And did we know that our guts is our second brain? Yes or no? Write a comment, guys. Do you know how important your gut is? Oh, thank you, Zore John. Thank you. Summer is here, guys. You like my necklace? Thank you. Maro, this was a gift from a healer, an old friend of mine. Thank you very much. Hello, Shihan. Hi, Monzuri. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Brana. Hello. Oromesh. Shaman 11, welcome. Hello, Sahanas. Hello, everybody. Hi, Rosa. Good to have you all here. Yes. So what's the date today, guys? Is we're entering a summer season, and I love summer. Yes. Hi, Mershad. Welcome. Hi, Rahel. Well, Mershad, last time I talked about you, you weren't here, so I'm not going to talk about you anymore. Morris 30, hello and welcome. I can't do a join live with you guys yet. I'm gonna wait for Simone to show up, and then you guys can join my live with Simone and ask your questions, okay? Oh, here it is, Simone. Hello, Simone. Would you please send me a request? There we go. Here is Simone. I just love it when people are so on time. Okay. Hi, Simone. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm amazing. I am amazing. And I'm very happy that we're covering up a lot of stuff about guts and our gut issue and how important the microbiomes are. And also, I'm going to do a clubhouse on Sunday, which is going to be on Farsi, but I'm going to talk about, do you guys know that your gut is your second brain? Because I'm going to a lot of rooms on Clubhouse with a lot of psychologists, and nobody really says anything about adrenal glands and how important it is for our body to have a alkaline balance and all that. So I'm doing a Clubhouse on Sunday, but let's get into our topic today. I'm going to let you start, Simone.
Well, last week we talked about our patch pieces, and we talked a little bit about gluten and leaky gut. But today we wanted to talk a little bit more about an area that most people don't know, and that is that, all right, let me ask the question. Who knows anything about the bacteria that's in our body and outside of our body? I asked that question, and 9 times out of 10, most people don't put up their hand because they've got no idea that, in fact, what it is to be human is to only have 10% of our cells be human. The rest are what we call our microbiome, which are bacteria, organisms that are in our gut, in our nose, on our skin, in our hair, that basically 10% of our cells are human, the rest are not.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder, why is that so significant? Well, it's significant for two reasons. First of all, they only found out about this about 8 years ago. And people had no idea that what happens on our skin, on the outside of our body, is just as important as what happens in our gut. So, for instance, you and I talked about breathing a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't know that you should breathe through your nose because you've got little villi in your nose that trap the bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And then your breath is moisturized, so it's hydrated, it's warmed, and it's more bioavailable for the body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's breathing. Then we know we have to be careful of what we put on our skin. Sometimes the rashes we get on our skin is not our skin reacting to what we're putting on it. It's the bacteria is reacting to it. So, you know, when people have eczema, they think it's all internal. It's not. It can be a reaction to what we're putting on our skin, and the bacteria that protects our skin reacts to it.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we move into the body, we've got bacteria. Most of the bacteria is in our gut and in our colon. And the bacteria is important. There's good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. The good bacteria is essential because what it does in our gut and in our colon, it breaks down, it reacts to the food, breaks down some of our food so that they become amino acids and also signals to the rest of the body. So it produces enzymes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when we talk about when people have antibiotics, that destroys that good bacteria. It destroys the bad bacteria, but then it leaves you bacteria deficient. And that's when you feel lack of energy. You know, we're finding people that have irritable bowel syndrome is all because they've destroyed the flora and fauna that is in their gut.
Yep.
And so we need those bacteria because it sends signals to the brain and to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we were saying that the gut is the second brain. That is a new concept.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most doctors, they do 1 or 2 or 3 hours of nutrition. That's it. They know nothing about microbiome. They know nothing about what happens in the gut. They just think what happens in the gut is digestion. Yes, but you need those enzymes. You need that bacteria to facilitate that. So microbiome is essential. Now you can get prebiotics. Prebiotics is good bacteria. It must be alive, and it doesn't replace the bacteria that you've lost. It just stimulates the bacteria that you've got in your gut to grow.
Yeah.
And you're going to say, well, what happens if you've lost a lot of your bacteria? Well, there's a new science, a new part of science, which is called fecal implants. Fecal implants is not widely talked about because it sounds disgusting. But what it is really amazing science. And it's what they do is they take healthy babies' poop, they process it, and then they put it in up through your rectum. Because that's where you need the bacteria to travel up to your gut. Mm-hmm. And they're having amazing results. The other thing that's really important to know about our good bacteria is, did you know that 1 out of 3 women in the United States, I don't know what it's like elsewhere, but 1 out of 3 women in the US are having a C-section, a cesarean section. And what happens is when you take the baby out from a cesarean section, what they do immediately is they want to clean up the baby, make it all smell nice before they give it to the mom. That's wrong on so many levels. First of all, we are designed to have the baby through the vaginal canal. Because when the baby pops out, the baby goes through bacteria and it's covered in bacteria. It gets in its nose, in its mouth, but it's the good bacteria. Yeah. Because while the baby's been in the mother's gut, tummy, it's been in a not a sterile, but a pro-growth environment.
Yeah.
Now it's coming out into the world, it needs to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
Then it comes out of the vaginal canal and it's got all this stuff. And now what they do is they just leave the baby like that and they put it straight on the mother's breast,
Mm-hmm.
on the heartbeat, and on the dad's too, because the dads have a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave the baby there so that the baby can adjust. So what they're doing now with cesarean sections, because babies come out and they don't have this protection, and they're seeing that there's a lot of later on in their going through their life, little babies that come out of C-section have asthma problems, have all sorts of other problems, that they're now taking a sponge. It doesn't have to be a hygienic sponge, but it's just a sponge, and they stick it into the mother's uterus. And as she has the baby, that releases fluids. They save that, and when the baby comes out, they wipe the face, they wipe the body all over, and are now putting on the baby, on the mom.
Yep.
Because what they're finding is, and especially now because of COVID, more than ever, we are so sterile. Everybody's disinfecting their hands, wiping their face all day long, taking off all the good bacteria, right? And now we are susceptible to issues in our immunity.
Yeah.
Our immune system is being destroyed. So the microbiome for the baby is to stimulate the immune system. So I know that's a lot of little bits and pieces of science, but getting back to the nuts and bolts,
Mm-hmm.
we really need to, now that we're past COVID, and whether you've had the vaccine, well, I won't say the vaccine because it's not a vaccine, it's a trial drug.
Yeah.
It's anybody that's had this trial drug is now a guinea pig or a test subject for a clinical trial. If you've had that, or if you haven't and you've been vaccinated all your life, you still need to maintain your immune system, because without your immune system and without stem cells, you will die, you will perish. And unfortunately, it's not an instant thing. It becomes a chronic situation, which means you'll have chronic disease over a period of time. It's the same as people suddenly think they have cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease doesn't happen in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The body can only take so much abuse, so much assaults, and then it reacts. It's the same with the gut. It's the same with autoimmune diseases. A lot of people are struggling from autoimmunity, not because they have the genetic marker. A lot of us have the genetic marker for autoimmune disease. I mean, you can see for me, I have a genetic marker for vitiligo, which means that the body stops producing melanin.
Yeah.
What gives you color. So that's a visual autoimmune disease. But a lot of us have, people have Hashimoto's. I had Hashimoto's.
Yep.
And a lot of that is because of what's happening in our gut. It's because we've become good bacteria deficient. You can have the genetic marker and not have any of their symptoms if you're healthy. But if you don't maintain your gut health, you are then susceptible to all sorts of immune issues. It's the same as now we're seeing with autism. Some people say, well, autism isn't on the incline. It's just that more people are reporting it because, maybe 20, 30 years ago, if you had a child with autism, you'd put it in a home. You'd put the child in a home away so nobody could see what kind of child you had. Well, now we're finding that it's a lot to do with what the microbiome was like when the mother was pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
whether she had a C-section, and now what is the state of that child's microbiome going forward.
Yeah, that study went way back when I read about it, that moms who are giving a natural birth, the child's immune system is so much higher and they have much less allergies to different things and their environment. So that's very important and is unfortunate because I know, Simone, in Iran, they're doing a lot of C-sections now. And even here, I don't know how much of it is business that they're not allowing the moms to really take their time to give a natural birth Is it because of the money? Is it because on C-sections they make more money? I don't know what is that about, but they're not really letting a lot of people who can give natural birth. And something else that that I heard, most people, correct me if I'm wrong, most people are under assumptions that if you're having your first childbirth as a C, you're forced to do the second as C. So people don't think that if your first child was C-section, you can still give natural birth on your second child. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think there's a lot to be said about women's tolerance to pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so women are told, you know what, a vaginal birth is going to be very painful. They hear these horror stories of women being in labor for 3 days, and they go, I just want to get it over and done with. Mm-hmm. Well, getting it over and done with a C-section, first of all, the most incredible thing that most people don't know is that when you have a C-section, you're actually cutting across the body's energy. You're cutting into the body's energy field. And so that's an energy leak that women have to live with once they've had a C-section. And it takes a lot of work to get your energy field back mm-hmm. to where it was before. The other thing is when they have a C-section, there seems to be a lot more depression coming out of that. Because again, when a woman, there's a couple of things. When a woman does a full vaginal birth, there's the release of endorphins. There's a whole lot of things that enzymes and hormones that affect us. We're the only species that doesn't lick our baby clean, that doesn't eat the afterbirth, where all the stem cells are, right? It doesn't eat the cord blood, where all the growth hormones are for the woman, the mom, to recover from the birth. Mm-hmm. What happens? You've got a mom that's now energy depleted, hasn't got all the nutrients she needs, and is now struggling with depression. It's mm-hmm. called postpartum depression. So then you've got women going on to medication after they've breastfed. And again, you find a lot of women that do C-sections don't breastfeed their babies for long. Mm-hmm. And then there are consequences for the child if the child is put on formula too soon. Mm-hmm. Again, that affects their microbiome. If you're going to restore microbiome in the baby needs to be breastfed. Mm-hmm. And also breastfeeding does amazing things for the mom's skin and hair and disposition. Again, as soon as they start to put the baby on formula, they've got to, press the milk, and it's just a whole sequence. It's a cascade of events mm-hmm. that lead to poor health on the mother's side mm-hmm. and the baby's side. Yeah. So I think there's a lot also. I think when you have the C-section the first time, the woman says, oh, you can just cut in the same place. It's the same scar. That's why they do it. Because they think, mm-hmm. oh, well, I just want to get it over and done with. And I think it's that mindset of getting it over and done with that stems right back to when that mother had her period. A lot of women have always thought that their period was a curse, right? When in fact, we have this ability to detox every month. Guys don't do that. They don't get to do that. Yeah. We do. And then so they think that's a curse. And then when you come to menopause, when you stop that, then they also think, oh, this is another curse. Instead of embracing it and saying, wow, now I really am in touch with my body. Mm-hmm. I can really do some amazing things, change the mindset, and understand that the body is designed to heal itself if it's given the right signals and the right mindset. Can you imagine how's the body coping when it thinks and hears that you think going through menopause is a curse? Mm-hmm. So that's my little piece about, I think the whole thing that really concerns me about C-section is the cutting into the energy field. Yeah.
So Simone, I have a friend that did her second shot, and she's extremely inflamed. She sent me a couple of pictures today. Her lips are swollen. Her whole body is aching and all that. She's been wearing that's my friend that I told you she has a little child. She's been on X39, but now she did her second dose of vaccine 2 days ago, and she's extremely in pain. And so what patches should she wear, and where exactly?
Right, I think first off, that she needs to get the glutathione patch.
Uh-huh.
The glutathione is to stimulate the liver to produce glutathione, which is the master antioxidant.
Uh-huh.
And I would get her to put that patch straight over the belly button. Straight over the belly button. Then I would get the energy patches. You can either use energy or ice wave. And I would put them in the armpit. You can see just here, this is where our lymph glands are, to wear them there during the day. Because again, she's having an allergic reaction to the trial drug. And she can't go back to the government or anyone and say, hey, what do I do? Because they have no idea. Mm-hmm. So she needs the master antioxidant. She needs to be able to move the toxins through the lymph using the energy patch. And then I would take the X39 during the day as well, put it on the C7. Now, you see, the thing is, once somebody's had this second shot or had their first shot, the body has gone into shock. And so it takes a lot to stimulate the body back. Mm-hmm. So you need the antioxidant, you need the energy, you need X39, and then finally, you're going to need to wear the Eon patch at night for the inflammation. Because that's what's happening. The body's now so inflamed. If she's got that stuff happening on her mouth, I would definitely recommend the X39 just for that piece.
Even she took a picture of her hand and her whole fingers are swollen.
Yeah.
So let's go through it one more time, Simone, so we know exactly what to use and where to put them.
Okay. The first patch is the glutathione, mm-hmm. and you wear that straight on the belly button.
Okay.
Because around the belly button area, the belly button and 5 fingers above and 5 fingers below is where a lot of nerve endings and veins, it's called the governing vessel. So you wear that there. Then I would say she needs to take energy or ice wave and put them in the armpits. It's just to the side of the breast, white on the right, tan on the left during the day, because that will do drainage during the day. X39 on the C7. And then at night, the Eon patch on the C7.
So you're saying that X39 and Eon are going to be directly next to one another?
No, the X39 is going to be worn during the day, and Eon is at night.
Okay, got it. Got it. Okay.
So you'll find that she's lacking energy. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening is the mitochondria, the little furnaces in the cells, are now not working at an optimum level. Mm-hmm. They've now become sluggish. It's like having a 1960 water heater in your home that the pilot light's gone out.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And then the other thing I would suggest she does, the other pieces, is to have alkaline water. Mm-hmm. Alkaline water plus either lemon juice in it or some Himalayan salt, a little bit of Himalayan salt in there, because we really want the alkaline water to get into the cells. It's called cellular hydration. And the only way the water can get into the cells if it has minerals in it. So if it has the pink Himalayan salt is full of minerals that need to be replaced. It's to cause electrolytes. And electrolytes are important because it stimulates the electromagnetic field of our body. And we're energy. And so we need that spark plug to be activated.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't see Sahar from Kangen Water. If she's here, she has to send me. I didn't find her. A join request. Zarin, do you see, welcome first of all. Do you see Sahar here? Because I did not see her yet. So Simone, when we're going to take care of the most of the inflammation, beside wearing the patches, what else should we do? Like right now I have this mix, you see, is a muddy green, is all like wheatgrass, barley grass. I mix it with vitamin C powder and also collagen powder, and I added some turmeric. So what do you think about that? Is this helpful at all to make with all the greens like wheatgrass, barley grass, spirulina, and all that? Do you think that's helpful to make the body more alkaline instead of acidic?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's another trick to that piece, and that is you're eating, because when it's greens like that, you're not drinking it, you're eating it, to eat foods that are high in minerals and water.
Mm-hmm.
So, spirulina, spinach, celery, asparagus, all of those foods, when you blend them and a drink, they are much more bioavailable. And on top of that, they are excellent for the microbiome.
Mm-hmm.
There's another thing. Let me just share with you a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Can you see this?
Yes. What is it, Simone?
I'm not a drinker, so it's not wine. But I have a shot of this every day, my husband and I. This is special olive oil.
Mm-hmm.
It's olive oil that comes, I think this one comes from Spain, and it is very rich in polyphenols.
Okay.
And so I take it as a shot.
Yeah.
You can mix it in your green drink, but I take it as a shot every day, because that also protects the gut. Because the gut lining is only one cell thick.
Mm-hmm.
And behind that lining of the gut lies our immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So if our gut becomes it becomes permeable and everything is going through, we need to protect that gut so that the immune system doesn't see it as something it needs to attack.
Right.
Because when our immune system becomes so on alert, just like the firefighters, the firefighters are on call all day long. They're exhausted come the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the same with our immune system. When our immune system is up all day long, we become very energy depleted.
Yeah.
And we start to experience brain fog, because when your body needs to have the energy elsewhere to fight the inflammation, the first place it takes the energy from is your brain. It's the same
Simone,
as...
Sorry, when I did a lot of study on leaky gut because I have it and I'm facing a lot of inflammations. And of course, I know the backup. I've been extremely anxious. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, and my adrenal gland was overactive, and I reached the adrenal gland exhaustion, and then I had IBS. I still, still kind of dealing with it. So I did a lot of studies on leaky gut, and the functional doctor that I have, I mean, she's a MD, but she changed to becoming a functional medicine practitioner. Amy Meyer, I don't know if you're familiar with her. She lives in, practices in Texas. And I followed her up for a long time. Her sessions are extremely expensive to have a consultation with her and all that. And you have to be on a big, big waiting list and all that. But Amy talked about her leaky gut herself, and of course, she was one of the ones who really promoted bone broth and how helpful it is to have bone broth. Also, I read a lot about coconut oil. That for leaky gut, coconut oil is amazing. And you know, Ayurvedic, they're so believed. Like Indians are so into coconut oil, and they use coconut oil as medicine. And then I
Yes.
know that in order for us, for like, I use turmeric because my body is uh, on the cool side. So I eat a lot of lettuce and green and that stuff. But because my gut is still very sensitive and inflamed, eating a lot of salads and green is not really doing me well. I get really bloated. So I try to have like 2 tablespoons, which I haven't done for a while. I reminded myself today that I should get back on it. But I understand that turmeric and like hot spices like cumin and cinnamon and ginger and that stuff, they're not bioavailable, so you have to mix them with coconut oil, make it into a bowl, and then that makes it much more bioavailable for the body. So what do you think? Because you talked about olive oil, but I heard a lot and read about coconut oil in this case.
Yes, it's called golden, the Ayurvedics call it golden milk.
Yes.
If you are a Costco shopper, they did it for a while. But of course, you know, some of these amazing things, because the average person doesn't know what it is, doesn't buy it, so they don't run it anymore. But you make a hot drink out of coconut milk, coconut oil, turmeric, and with cinnamon, cardamom, you mix it up, and you can even put your collagen in there.
Yeah.
And have that. Now, you know, you can brush your teeth with coconut oil.
Yeah.
And it's called pulling, where
Yeah.
you pull toxins out of your mouth with coconut oil.
Yeah, I talked about that. I did a live all about gum disease, and I talked about that. It's very good for us when we wake up first thing in the morning to do oil pulling with coconut oil, or you know, Ayurveda recommends coconut oil or sesame oil, and also what else? Let me collect my thought for a second. Ghee.
Yes, ghee.
Yeah.
Yes. But you know, again, the ghee is important to know, just like the turmeric or turmeric. It's important to know whether it's organic or not and where it's grown. Because turmeric is a rhizome, and it buries deep into the ground, and it leaches lead out of the ground. So people who are not getting organic turmeric are actually doing something that they want the turmeric for, and that's to promote brain function.
Yeah.
Right, for clarity. And so one of the things about dementia is when people have heavy metal toxins in their brain. So now you're taking the turmeric to fight the heavy metals, and it might be adding to the problem. So again, it's just like the ghee. It's important to know that the ghee comes where it comes from. Is it milk from cows that are grass-fed? Now in India, ghee is, in a sense, because they worship the cow. You know, you can't, they don't grow cows or herd cows or farm cows like we do here. So there's no antibiotics.
Yeah.
So it's important to know that. It's important to know, you know, the bone broth. Again, it's important that the bone broth comes from grass-fed animals. Because again, if they have antibiotics, things are stored in the myelin sheath around the nerves and through the center of the, you know, the bones.
Yeah.
So we must make sure that these are healthy animals that we're using the bones from, and not just getting discarded bones from your butcher. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
even
mean,
that is
isn't
very
all the
tempting.
ghee that we use here organic? I mean, every time when I bought it before from Whole Food, it's all organic. I didn't see. I mean, we don't have so many brands, so I only saw the organic brand here.
I've seen, you know, it's just important to make sure, you know, some people might just buy stuff not checking to see if it's organic.
Yeah.
But at a lot, you know, at a lot of the Persian stores now are selling organic ghee, even Costco. But again, you need to check
Okay.
because it's, you know, again, I mean, my husband and I were just talking about it, you know, here in California, food has just got very, very expensive in this last couple, even more so these last couple of months.
Mhm.
But I keep on saying, you know, we need to stick with the organic piece
Mhm.
because the cost of not being on organic food is much more long term than the cost of the food.
Yeah. So another doctor that I loved and I used to follow him for a long time is John Diller. Are you familiar with John Diller?
Yes.
Yeah, he's, you know, he's very much into Ayurvedic. And so one of the things that he was talking about is at night, because a lot of us have sleeping issues, and he said you can warm up either coconut milk or almond milk or something like that, put a tablespoon of ghee in it, and add turmeric and some maybe cumin or stuff, and drink that. And he said it really helps out with your sleep.
Now, the turmeric, if the turmeric is just the, are you using the fresh turmeric or you're using it in a supplement?
No, I use actually the turmeric that I use, they bring it from Iran.
Okay, let me show you
Powder.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I didn't get to say hi to everyone. Okay.
This is quinol and it comes in a capsule and it is organic, but it's important to use the capsules and open it and put it in your drink
Okay.
because this has black pepper.
Uh-huh.
And in order for the turmeric to be bioavailable as well, it needs to be accompanied by black pepper.
That's right.
So that's why I
I dropped
recommend
that.
it.
You're absolutely right. Yes, turmeric has to be taken with black pepper, right? So let's
And
get.
again, that's what's so amazing about if you use food to heal your body.
Mhm.
There's the combinations of things.
So let's
Sorry, go
get
ahead.
more into inflammation. Like, so what do we do? For instance, for me, I know that I'm allergic to gluten, right? And I'm also allergic to dairy. But I noticed, like, I love goat cheese, you know, and I noticed goat cheese doesn't affect me as much as cows or any other milk. So I love the taste, you know. um, Goat is either you love it or you hate it. It's like okra or eggplant. Some people love it and some people hate it, right? So let's get more into inflammation. Diet wise, what do you think we should do? For instance, like I said, okay, um, I'm allergic to gluten, I'm allergic to um, dairies. Then again, I do much better with meat, but also a lot of vegetables and green and raw salads. It's giving me a lot of inflammation. So, how do you think I should go about that?
Well, first of all, I think when we say we are allergic, it might be as food sensitivity.
Yes.
We might not necessarily be allergic to it, but because of what's happening to the animal, right, or to the wheat, that's what we are sensitive to. So, you know, as far as being gluten, it could be the gluten, it could also be the glyphosate that they use to process the wheat.
Mhm.
You know, with wheat, they spray it with glyphosate because that kills everything off, and then it's easier to harvest the wheat. But that does terrible things to our microbiome. So when we become bloated, it's because the bad bacteria is having a great time. They're creating the bad enzymes, they're creating gas, and it's killing off the good bacteria.
Right.
So again, prebiotics and probiotics, also looking at food that is fermented. Not all fermented foods are good, but things like sauerkraut, kimchi is good for that. So when we become bloated, it's because we're inflamed, it's because the gut is struggling with what's come down the alimentary canal. When it comes to dairy, again, you know, we do not see adult cows or adult bulls in the field drinking milk. Milk from a cow is only for a baby.
Yeah.
Right? So really, milk in its drinking form is not really designed for human consumption. Because what happens when we drink milk, in order to process the milk, magnesium is required. And we store magnesium in our bones.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're seeing generations, particularly of women who have osteoporosis. Because magnesium and calcium has been leached from their bones, and in order to process the milk. So when it comes to goat's milk, again, we don't see goats being injected with antibiotics like they do cows.
Yeah.
Right. And also when it comes to cow's milk, we see that cows farm on the farms, they're also, that whole thing about cow's milk is that that cow has to be lactating. It's not a special breed of cow that just gives milk all the time. They've got to constantly be pregnant and be lactating. So, you know, the milk after a while becomes deficient in what we need because the cow becomes older. I mean, it's just a natural thing of life. So goat's milk, yes. Also goat's cheese. Again, I think, you know, the whole process of soft goat's cheese is fermented. Hard goat's cheese, like they have in Norway, is also fermented, which is fabulous. I mean, it tastes like caramel.
Yeah.
But again, goat's cheese is an acquired taste. It's like goat's meat. You either love it or you don't. When we get to meat, I think meat, there is evidence, physical evidence in our body to suggest that we should eat a little bit of meat because of our teeth. If we weren't supposed to eat meat, we would be like a rabbit. We'd have the teeth like a rabbit or a herbivore. And we might have two stomachs, just like a cow, if we were supposed to just eat grass or vegetables. So we're designed as humans to have balance.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to meat, we need to eat meat like a condiment, like a seasoning, not a big steak and mashed potatoes as our meal. We should be having salad, vegetables with a little bit of meat on the side.
Yeah.
Again, when people are struggling with having salads to start with, I do something that's pretty wild. For instance, I love to go to Panini Kebab. And they always serve beautiful salads. There's more salad than I can eat.
But
so
they,
I take
they
it home.
took away the panini. They closed down now.
Really? Because here in our part of Orange County, they're just doing fantastically well.
Oh, they're
and they survived COVID. So what I do is I take the salad and I put it in my blender. And I make a smoothie. Because it's got olive oil in it. It's got a little bit of aged balsamic vinegar. And then I just make it as a smoothie. So whenever you're challenged by eating vegetables to start with, and you need the leafy greens because that protects us from, you know, cancer, for instance, is one of the big things. Put it in your blender and then eat it as you drink it. Don't just swig it. You need to eat it and swirl it around our mouth because, you know, a lot of the digestion of food actually starts in the mouth. It gets the mouth sends a signal and it wakes up the gut and wakes up those enzymes so that they're ready for when the food comes.
So here's the deal, Simone. I want us to get a lot more deeper because I know you know the quality of I mean, your husband is Norwegian, so I lived in Europe for a few years, and I know the quality of wheat and bread is much, much better, not as processed as it is here. But I went back to Paris, I believe, was it last year or almost 2 years ago? My immune system was up really well, but my when I started eating bread in Paris, I got bloated again like a balloon. So I believe as we age, our digestive system becomes more and more sensitive. And I love dairies from Europe, you know, the yogurt in Paris and their cheeses and that stuff. And I really indulged because I said, heck with it, I'm here for a week. But I was bloated. Like when I got back, I was like, whoa, like my whole body was bloated. So as we age and our digestive system become weaker, we cannot handle what we did before, right? So I realized that now I'm at the point that even a good wheat and higher, better grain is still not doing well. Also, when it comes to, we talked about, I talked about this, about like kimchi and sauerkrauts and all that stuff, that it has probiotics in it. But it doesn't do well with me. Like when I eat kimchi, I bought kimchi, I went to Korean markets and a couple of weeks ago, and also sauerkrauts, and I still get bloated. I don't do well with any kind of like broccoli. I get so bloated with broccoli, cauliflowers, and all that. So when we get deeper to this point, I want to bring up something else, because in like, you know, in Ayurveda and also in old historian Persian medicine, they were really great and big in there. We categorize people into two groups: people who are, their system is more towards cold, and people whose system is more toward hot, right? So for me, I mean, my family, my father and my mother and all my sisters and my brothers, they are very white skin. I'm the only one who came out olive, but I still have the same system as them. We are very much into cold systems. So when we're eating like salads and, you know, greens and that stuff, even when I made a smoothie of it, it still can get me bloated. So when we get to this point, what do you think the solution is?
You're absolutely right about the hot and cold, because you're the cold and I'm the hot. So, for instance, for me, I love hot spices, and they sit very well with me. People that are cold struggle to eat spicy food because their immune system, their gut is not prepared for it. Also, when you are a hot person, you can eat a lot more salads. When you are cold, you need to actually cook your cruciferous vegetables to make it more easy to be digested.
Even we cook, I tell you, I cannot handle broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cook, not cook, anything. I get inflamed.
Tell me, do you eat beets?
I eat beets every once in a while. I'm okay with beets. Sometimes I eat beets raw. I love raw beets. But here's the deal. I was one of my clients here, Zareen. She also bought the Kangen machine. She had a lot of, ever since she was born, she has major issues with her digestive systems and all that. Um, but what she sent me some a jar of all different kind of vegetables with salt only, but she put garlic in it. And she asked me the other day, she said, I hope you love it. I said, my blood pressure is so low, Simone, it has always been. Even the smell of garlic drops my blood pressure and I just get headache. I said it was
Well,
good.
you know, the Persians have a fabulous thing where they actually pickle garlic
Yeah,
for like 25 years
yeah, yeah.
because garlic is medicinal. The only thing that's come out of recent science is that, you know, we can fight a cold, we can fight a lot of things with garlic, but there's a reason why garlic smells so pungent and tastes so pungent. And that's so that we as humans do not overconsume. When we overconsume garlic, that affects our telomeres.
Mhm.
So we do need to have garlic. I mean, you look at people are talking about the Mediterranean diet,
Yeah.
which is great for people that are hot, right? Because, and there's a lot of garlic in there. But we know now we have to dial back the garlic a bit because it affects our telomeres. If it didn't affect our telomeres, maybe just God would never have made it smell so strong and be so
Oh
pungent.
God,
Because I
I
mean,
can't
it's not the
stand the
kind of
smell of garlic. Oh God, like the smell,
it's
the
not the kind of
taste.
thing it's not the kind of thing you eat on your first date, your first couple of dates. But I'll tell you a quick funny story. I used to travel from Hong Kong to Delhi, from Delhi to Seoul, and then back to Hong Kong. And I love all sorts of food. So I'd go to India for 2 weeks. And when you're in India for 2 weeks, you smell like an Indian if you eat the food, because the food is fantastic, right? Then you get on a plane and you go to Korea and you eat Korean food for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
You can imagine what you smell like by the time you get to Hong Kong. And in Hong Kong, the smells are different altogether. So talk about your senses being on high alert,
Mhm.
travel. Also, when you talked about traveling, we really need to be careful because when we fly, that affects our energy field. We also become dehydrated. We get to Paris, and a lot of the time people get to Paris, they're dehydrated, and the first thing they think of is, I love some French coffee.
Mhm.
You go and have French coffee, and that starts the cascade. We really need to be very hydrated and make sure we don't, if we're only going for 2 weeks, not to overindulge in the first week because our body needs to acclimate
Mhm.
so that we don't. And I know this from experience because when I used to travel
Yeah.
as a buyer to Paris for like 3 days, you know, that can wreck your whole trip. If you got Paris, London, Florence, Milan, and then you go to Tokyo, by the time you get back, you're a wreck
Yeah.
because of the flying and the food.
So Simone, let's stick to this part. So what I was saying is that for someone, garlic, we can generalize it that garlic is great for everyone. If you have high blood pressure, maybe.
Absolutely.
What for people who have low blood pressure, that really can, because years ago I used to love this Thai food. I still do. I used to go to this Thai restaurant, and every time I came back 20 minutes later, I got this headache and I was like feeling like so I it took me a while to pick up that is the garlic that they use there. So if you have low blood pressure, we can handle garlic. If our digestive tract is extremely sensitive, now what should we do and what should we eat? And if we can even handle like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and all that. And I talked about your body being cold. So let's attack this. If your body is cold and your gut is inflamed and you have digestive issues, you're not eating gluten, you're not eating dairies and all that, but you're still inflamed. So let's take the worst scenario. What do
Scenario.
you think
Well, the
our
first thing
diet do?
the first thing I would do is start preparing your gut the night before.
Uh-huh.
And so taking the olive oil at night before you go to have your coconut milk or whatever you're doing, have the olive oil, so that the olive oil is the last thing that goes into the gut. And that will then line the gut. And it's kind of like an antiseptic, not an antiseptic. It calms everything down. It's an anti-inflammatory, the olive oil. And that will coat your lining of your gut. Then you need to wait 12 to 16 hours to eat. Because again, we need to go into what is known as intermittent fasting.
We do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, because your gut really needs time to calm down, because it does some pretty amazing things in 12 to 14 hours. You know, every second day you have a new gut lining. But if your gut lining is not given time to repair, that's when we have a lot of leaky gut and a lot of gastrointestinal issues. So that's the first thing we would do. Then it's when we wake up in the morning. You know, a lot of people want to have coffee in the morning. You don't want to have coffee. We then want to have warm water with some lemon in it, and preferably alkaline water and some Himalayan salt in there, because we want to make sure that the water we're taking in is going to go into the cells, right? And then you've got to break your fast gently. You know, just like you've got a green drink.
Sorry, hold on one second, because I want you to read the comment that I pinned from Self-Aware Herbs for, can you read that?
Yes, red clover and sarsaparilla. Sarsaparilla. You know, the sarsaparilla you get here, it has a lot of sugar with it. So you want to calm that down. You really want things that are going to line the gut and help the gut be protected as you go through the night. Because, you know, there's a phenomenal process called autophagy, where the body takes all the broken proteins and broken cells and regenerates and builds again. The other thing is, coupled with that, you need the glutathione patch, you need the eon patch. And to regenerate a younger you and to regenerate healthier cells, you need the X39. So that's what I would recommend there, because that takes care of the inflammation. And then if you know you're inflamed, you know, be very mindful, and I say this, mindful of when you eat and what you eat and how you eat. You know, where you eat is just as important as how you eat. So if you're sitting at your desk, and I do this often, which I know is wrong, you sit at your desk and eat, you are eating in a stressful environment, stressful mindset, right? Or if you're eating quickly because you've got a job to do, we really need to take time and enjoy the food. Because if food is our medicine, we need to give it the ability to heal us. And if you're eating food and you've got nervous energy, you've got anxiety, you've got hormones being generated that counter the effects of the healing food. So that's important. When you eat, and only eating in an 8-hour window is really important for inflammation.
Yeah, I talked about intermittent fasting a lot, and let me just respond to Self-Aware regarding the herbs that you said: red clover, sarsaparilla, mugwort, nettle, barkwood. I actually have this combination for detox. And sarsaparilla, you know, we also use that for constipation. And Cascara saganda, we also use that for constipation. And I feel like it's pushing your bowel movement a little too much. And I'm afraid, I just wanted to say that if you use it for a long time, it kind of makes your, what do I want to say? Because I'm
your body stops doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, the muscles become too relaxed. Yeah, too relaxed, and it just doesn't do its work. So it's good to use this combination for a short time. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be very careful with this You can use it. It's okay to use it for a short period of time. But if you elongate it for a long time, then the muscles in your guts and in your
Hold on.
tubes, it becomes lazy. I'm trying to think about, my brain is, I got brain fog, Simone. What's the very famous thing, that laxative that we use?
Miralax.
Huh?
The one that's bad, Miralax or Senokot.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know a lot of people in US, they are using all that. So you got to be very careful. Yeah, what to use. But
Miralax is made from petroleum byproducts for a start.
yeah.
And again, as you said, Sudi, if we take a lot of laxatives, the body stops, says, well, I don't need to work.
Yeah.
If you're sending the stuff to do the job, I don't need to work. It's the same when you take acetaminophen and ibuprofen, that stops the liver from producing glutathione.
Yeah.
It also stops the pineal gland from producing melatonin. So we really need to give our body food that will move the food. So if you're constipated, one of the things is psyllium husk.
Oh my God, psyllium husk gets me so bloated. Ah, I can't stand
because
it.
you're a cold, because you're a cold person.
Yeah.
But you can eat it. You know, you want to eat, if you're going to eat any kind of bread, you need to eat sprouted bread, because the sprouts in the bread will move. But, you know, it's important that you eat food to push the food out, to eliminate the toxins.
What I want to add here, Simone, is in response to Cellular, you know, because I was OCD for many years, and, you know, I was working as a personal trainer for many years, and there was a point that I wanted to get into bodybuilding competition. I'm talking about years back. So I was so obsessed with my body that I was doing so many cleanse, not even giving my body enough rest. Like I would go from one cleanse to another, to another, to another. And that was something else that I really put so much stress on my gut. You know, of course, we know leaky gut. One part of it is the bacteria ratios of bacteria and all that. But yeah, I was so obsessed that I just wanted to cleanse and cleanse and cleanse, and I was using a lot of like stuff like cascara and all this thing to move the food out of my system. So I would eat and I would take so much stuff, so much herbs to remove everything, and it was the OCD in my head that everything needs to get out of my system. And I remember my ex-boyfriend, he was Norwegian, right? I told you we lived together for 7.5 years. He used to tell me, he said, what is this thing with you that you eat and it's such a rush to get everything out of your system? You don't even allow the nutrient to get into your system, you know? So that was my obsessive part. So that's what I'm telling you, you know, be careful of the cleanse. Cleanse is also how often you do. Sorry, I got a phone call. Anyway, so Simone, yesterday I was doing a joint live with an Iranian guy that he's more towards the holistic old Persian Asian style. And he was saying that we should eat breakfast. It's very important to eat breakfast and dinner, since eating breakfast in the morning warms up the system, and also eating dinner at night helps you to go to have a better sleep and that stuff. So I told him that I was promoting the intermittent fasting for the last couple of days, and I also skip breakfast, because breakfast used to be a huge part for me. When I would wake up in the morning, I would think, what am I going to have for breakfast? And that was my motivation to get out of bed, you know. So it was very hard for me to get into intermittent fasting. But I said to him, I said, I noticed because a lot of my clients over the years, they wanted to lose weight. And I noticed that once they start the breakfast, it's like everything opened up and you wanted to eat more and then more craving and all that stuff. But once they would tell themselves that they're going to skip breakfast and have a really good lunch, and you and I know, according to Ayurvedic, our digestive system is the strongest in noontime between the period time of 12 to 4, because Ayurveda changes time change the clock every 4 hours. So they said you should have your biggest meal and your carbs and whatever heavier, fattiest food between 12 to 4, and then have a light dinner at night. So we were arguing a little bit about this thing, and I said, okay, yeah, for me, for instance, I'm one of those people that I don't do well to go to bed because my body digests food so quickly. If I eat 3 hours before my bedtime, I'm hungry again. So my meal has to be very close to my bedtime. And on the contrary of everything that we hear, my best and deepest sleep is when I eat something that is towards warm food, like almond. I noticed that when I'm eating almond milk, it's so soothing for my body, and I have I get very drowsy and sleepy by eating that because my body is towards the cold, right? So I noticed that if I have a big meal and go to bed, I have my best, deepest sleep. But God forbid, if I tell myself I'm not going to eat tonight, I could be awake till 1 or 2 and that stuff. And he said, yeah, that's because food is, we know it creates heats in the body. So I agree with eating at night. I mean, not like me, just eating and going directly to bed, but at least an hour or 2 hours before. But what do you think about breakfast? Like, this was our argument. Should we have breakfast or should we not?
Well, breakfast was really became a very big thing as far as being as your first meal of the day here in the United States. And that was spurred on by the farmers because they wanted to sell more bacon. They wanted to sell more bread and milk, right? So that's why it became this thing that it's the most important meal of the day. You need to start off. If you look back through the generations, the centuries, people would get up, they would have a hot drink, whether it's hot water, coffee, they'd go to work.
Yeah.
Because they needed their body to acclimate. Mm-hmm. Because they understood the power of sleeping. Yeah. And that again is, they didn't sleep with their cell phones next to their bed, right? Their body really had an opportunity to heal. There might not have been electricity at night, right? So the circadian rhythm, it goes back to that circadian rhythm. But the one thing I will say is that because we are human and we all are unique, that once we get in touch with our body, we should know what is best for us. Mm-hmm. So for you, you can't eat some of the foods that I eat. And that's understandable, because otherwise, if we all ate the same thing, there would only be all the same food around the world, right? Yeah. We have certain blood type, we have certain genetic markers, and we also have different microbiome. That's the other thing. We don't all have the same bacteria, the same viruses, the same skin, mm-hmm. So it's all about getting in touch with your body. And when you take medication, you abdicate your health to the system. Mm-hmm. And you're now no longer in touch with your body. Because medication doesn't get to the root cause of what's causing the problem. It's just slapping a Band-Aid on and telling you there's no pain when the body is still in pain.
Yeah.
Right? And you're in pain because that's blocked energy. Your body wants you to take notice. Mm-hmm. Right? We really need to tap into our own body's intelligence, because we are intelligent. And so when we get in touch with our body, just like you say to me, you can't eat certain things because they make you bloated. I can. Mm-hmm. And then there's certain things that you might eat that I don't eat because they don't sit well with me. But I do know that once we're in touch with our body and understand that everything we put between our lips is to heal our body, sometimes we can even put bad stuff through our mouth if our intention is clear.
Mm-hmm.
So if our intention is to maintain this amazing piece of architecture that we have to be healthy, we will stay healthy.
Yeah, I always say food and exercise needs to be customized for each individual. You cannot have one diet to fit everybody. So Simone, do you also believe, like, for instance, for someone like me who is towards the cold side, always very, very low blood pressure, that we can use spices to bring out the balance, like hot and dry, for instance, like cardamom and what else is ginger and cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Mhm.
Sparingly on the capsaicin. You know, capsaicin is the red chili.
Yeah.
I mean, in Ayurvedic, they use that to raise your blood pressure. If people pass out, they put capsaicin under their tongue,
Mhm.
you know, when people faint. But it's all about, you know, starting off with moderation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, you know, it's like MCT oil. If somebody really wants to improve their bowel movements, they should take a tablespoon of MCT oil. But for some people, they take a teaspoon and they're running to the toilet immediately. For other people, it might take a little bit more. But that MCT oil is just
So
perfect.
can you open up MCT oil, because MCT is also in coconut oil?
Exactly. So again, goes back to, if you don't have, you know, MCT oil, you can use coconut oil.
Okay, very good. Because as Persians, most of us are constipated. Constipation is pandemic with Iranian. And I was talking to this guy yesterday, and he said maybe it's because we're eating a lot of rice. Rice is
Could
so.
be.
Where are you going, Simone?
Thank you. I'm just plugging in my phone.
Why are you showing us the wall, the ceiling?
Sorry, I was putting my phone back on the charger.
Yeah, we're almost done. Just wanted to.
That's okay. So yes, constipation could be a lot to do with the rice. It's also, what is those things you eat with hummus? The flat breads.
Pita.
Like a pita bread. Anything like that causes us to be constipated.
So how much of our constipation do you think it goes right back into the guts and the ratios of good and bad bacteria?
I think that's very important, because again, if the rice that we love to eat is maybe it's too refined, it doesn't have enough fiber in it. You know, we love that beautiful white Persian rice or jasmine rice. Ayurvedic tell us to eat, you know, raw rice virtually, with husk, with everything on it, because that is like eating psyllium.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're eating foods that are too refined,
yeah,
and that also comes with the you know, the nature of our lifestyles. We want to do things quick and ready, and we resort to eating out a lot because it's convenient. And we really need to not do that as much. We need to go back to how it was in the old days, as they would say, when you went out because it was a treat rather than normal. Now we've got to a point, and it's going to happen even more now that COVID restrictions are lifted.
yeah,
Everybody wants to go out and eat.
yeah.
And we need to be mindful of that we don't tip the scale the other way. You know, during COVID, we didn't social distance from our fridge enough, right? Now we need to make sure we don't go out too much. We've got to have balance, because the best food is the food that we cook ourselves.
Absolutely, yes. Simone, I can't thank you enough for giving us this time and all this information. You know that I love you deeply from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
doing this for everyone, not just my people, but I know that you're doing a lot of webinars and join lives with other. I just wanted to say that I'm extremely grateful for having you in my life. And since this was in my heart, I just wanted to tell you that now.
Well, thank you. And you know, I was just telling somebody just yesterday, they asked me, how did I meet you? And I said, we were on opposite sides of a little aisle and our hearts went out and we knew that we had to connect. So
Yes.
I too am very grateful to have you in
Thank
my
you,
life. And
love.
thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Simone. Would we have you back again next Thursday?
If you want me, I'm yours.
I love you. And yes, I want you always. Thank you so much, Simone. Have a
You're welcome.
beautiful day. And I'm so glad it's almost overcast and it's a little cooler now.
I know, it's fabulous. See you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye. Okay, everyone, time to wrap up and end this live. Thank you so much for being here. There's a wealth of information here. This live would be uploaded on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe on my YouTube channel, Sudi Burnett English. And as you also know, just a quick reminder, whoever subscribed to my YouTube channel, Sudi Burnett English, will receive a gift, a file of your choice. um, that's about it. For those of you, I was reading all of your comments. Somebody's asked, and if you skip a meal, you become diabetic. Absolutely not. So, love and blessing. I'll see you guys all back next Tuesday. Love you. Bye bye.